what you were trying to do. They were trying to catch Liverpool on the break. They did that early doors, and you know, unfortunately, they just couldn't hold them out. It was a controversial first goal that Liverpool scored, but unfortunately, I thought they defended really well tonight, Newcastle.
Yeah, it was. But in the end, it was a nice defeat as far as their campaign is concerned. So let's remind you as to what happened during what was a bit busy week. There were a few games, of course, called off because of COVID, including that first match of the match week, Brentford against Manchester United. Norwich boss Dean Smith lost against his former club Aston Villa 2-0 at Carrow Road. There was an amazing performance from Manchester City, who hit Leeds for 7 to make it 7 straight league wins for the leaders. On Wednesday, Roman Saiz got the winning goal for Wolves at Brighton for a first win in 5. Burnley able by a point. They're on 41 points ahead of Liverpool by that single point. Chelsea now 4 adrift of the summit, with all having now played 17 games. 8 points behind the Blues are Arsenal in the top 4 for the first time in 14 months, with West Ham a point behind the Gunners in 5th. Manchester United in 6th have got that game in hand, but look at Tottenham. They've got 3 games in hand on those in the top 5. Norwich are bottom on goal difference, 10 points to their name from 17 games. Newcastle, as I mentioned, remain second bottom. They're also 2 adrift of safety. Burnley 18th on 11 points. We've played 2 games less than the bottom 2. Watford are just above the drop zone. They're safe by 2 points, with Leeds 5 points above the bottom 3. And after today's draw, Everton have got an 8-point gap on themselves and the relegation zone after that gutsy display at Stamford Bridge. They're scintillating best, but they've beaten Newcastle tonight 3-1 at Anfield to cut the gap to just a point. Trent Alexander-Arnold there getting the third with a special strike. And here he is now.
Trent, that was more of a battle than many predicted. I mean, you had to work hard for that win, didn't you?
Yeah, you know, I think we limited them to little chances. We kind of knew the game would flow like that. We'd dominate possession, and they come and make it hard for us and counter-attack and look for set pieces and things like that. So it was always going to be a difficult one for us. But and obviously them scoring an early goal made it harder. Disappointed with the clean sheet, but you know, 3 points at this time of the season is vitally important.
Kind of nervy though when you're 2-1 up in the second half, and they weren't giving up, were they? But you sunk them with a scorcher, should we say?
I've been waiting for that 5 years now, waiting for it to clean like that. I've had a few ones from near the edge of the box, and you know, I've dragged them and things like that, and I've caught that one sweet. Yeah, and I was just nestled in the top corner. It was a clean strike, and obviously kind of put the game to bed.
You mentioned the early fright, the John Shelby goal. Then, of course, Jota scores. Newcastle seem to be not happy, shall we say. Let's talk about the goal. And the 2 players on the ground, that's what I find.
Look, when you're playing, you don't really, when the game's flowing like that, you're in and around their box. You're not really looking at who's on the ground, who's up. You're kind of looking for your teammates trying to score. Your eyes are not focused on the ground. But you know, if it's head injuries, it's down to the ref to stop it. At the end of the day, he hasn't done that. We've played to the whistle and we went and scored. That's all you can really do. We haven't cheated the game. We haven't done anything unsportsmanlike. We've played to the whistle and went and scored from it.
Mo Salah scores again. Another record for him. He's done 15 games of assists and goals in a consecutive sequence, which is up with Jamie Vardy. It's crazy, is it? 22 goals before Christmas. That's mad.
Yeah, that's exactly how you can describe it. It's mad. You know, he's a best player in the world right now. Goes without saying. He's scoring or creating or doing everything, game in, game out. He's having an incredible season. You know, I think that's on his mind. He wants to break every record in the book. He wants to go and put his name in the history books. He's doing that. He's done that from the first season he come in, and he hasn't took his foot off the pedal. So he'll be looking to break every record he can again.
There's relentless pressure at the top of the table, and you've got to keep going, of course. But Chelsea dropped 2 points tonight, which is always welcome, I'm sure, from a Liverpool perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's obviously you don't want the teams around you to be doing well, but again, the focus is on us. I think this time of the season, it's about making sure we're consistent, making sure we're winning every game we can, because the games come so thick and fast that you know, any minor slip can prove costly come April, May. So it's about this time of the season, making sure we pick up as many points as we can, and we've done that so far, but we need to keep going.
And the preparations were disrupted a bit with COVID tests. Fingers crossed that everything goes well this week.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, you know, we're focused on our football. Until we're told otherwise, we'll be in there every day, recovering again tomorrow, and making sure we're fit for Sunday. You know, we've got a big game going down to Tottenham. It'll be an interesting one, but all we can do is focus on that and prepare for the game.
Well done, Trent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Some goal from him in the end, and we'll look at it very shortly. But you noticed something different about the way he positioned himself for much of that game tonight.
Yeah, he did. He kept coming into central areas. Yeah. I mean, we've seen it before. We've seen that right-hand side of Liverpool changes sometimes. You know, Trent comes in, Trent goes high up. We've seen Jordan Henderson playing in a sort of sitting midfield area, but then a lot of the time he covers to the right-back area. So they tend to do any of their creative stuff around that right-hand side, Liverpool. And Trent today was coming quite central. I mean, he sort of was a sitting midfield player for the first 5 minutes, and we were looking at thinking, right, what's happening here? Eventually he started coming back out onto the right, but he did keep drifting in. So it's something he's done a bit more this season, started drifting into more central areas, and he's capable of doing both.
Interesting, Les. He said he's been waiting all this season to strike a goal like that. He made it worth the wait in the end. It was a special goal, was it not?
He certainly did, and, you know, you talk about him being over this side. I know he's over the other side of the pitch to take the free kick, but he comes back to him here, and I mean, that is just a hit. You know, when we saw it, when you see it from behind the goal, you know, the goalkeeper does well to get a fingertip on it, but like the power and the pace of it is absolutely sensational.
His other fullback does really well. Andy Robertson makes a great run. It actually takes, you know, a Newcastle player with him. The best bit about the whole thing is how Mike Dean got out the way, though. The referee, he's expecting a ball on the back of the head, and it whistles past his shoulder and whistles into the goal at the Kop end. It's a stunning strike, as Les said.
He has got this faultless technique to hit the ball so cleanly, hasn't he?
He's got technique to hit virtually every shot in the book. I mean, he can hit a fade, a curl, a dip, you know, like he can cross a ball like Beckham, he can strike a ball like a Gerrard or a Scholes. He's got virtually every club in his bag. I mean, he's got a wand of a right foot. It's amazing.
And did 3-1 in the end make it more of a reflective scoreline for you?
It was probably a reflective scoreline, but I do feel for Eddie Howe because, again, he got beat 4-0 at Leicester the other day, and there was positives to take out of it. It was a harsh scoreline. Again today, if you just read it and think 3-1, it looks quite comfortable. But Liverpool were under the cosh for a little bit in terms of only one goal ahead until the 87th minute. So it probably, I wouldn't say it flatters Liverpool, but it is a little bit harsh on Eddie Howe, and I do think there's little bits there that he can take encouragement from.
Yeah, I just wonder, with Chelsea dropping points at Stamford Bridge today, Les, how big a win that could prove to be in the title race. Yeah,
that would be a massive win. And like we said at the start of the show, it's now just about, you know, getting those points across the line. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's 7-0, 5-0, 4-0, 3-1, 1-0. It's just getting the points across the line at this moment in time. Because they'll have their periods, you know, Liverpool will have their periods where we'll see weekends where they score 6 goals. We'll see weekends where they score 4 or 5 goals, and then we'll see weekends where they score 1. And those are the real important ones, where you score 1-0.
Are we getting the glimmer of a 2-horse race, dare I say, at one point?
Possibly. I mean, I think if there's one team that's going to crack, I mean, it's obvious now because they've gone 4 points behind in the title race. If there's one team that's going to crack, I think it's Chelsea. I mean, Liverpool and Manchester City have gone the distance for years now. There are no questions about them. They are seriously talented teams. Of course, Chelsea are very good, but they're the one team that I'd have question marks on. I mean, Paul Scholes sat here about 2 months ago and said Chelsea won't win the league on air. And I was thinking, wow, how can you be so sure? I'm actually starting to believe him. I think it's a 3-horse race still. But the thing is, they're 4 points behind. They've got to play Liverpool soon. Yeah. They can't afford another defeat and to go 7 points. To go 7 points behind a Man City or a Liverpool then starts making it very, very difficult. At the minute, they're hanging on in there, but they can't go any further behind. OK, well, let's reflect, I suppose, in more depth on tonight's win. It started, of course, surprisingly somewhat, with Newcastle taking the lead. Les, just after 7 minutes, but after a bit of sloppy play from a Liverpool perspective. It wasn't, you know, at this point, it was like, you know, attack versus defence, and I think this is what Newcastle were waiting for, this break, and they play it superbly. Ball out to Sir Maximin. He cuts inside, plays it to Fraser, who then cuts it back. Bad clearance from Thiago, and then this is pure class from Shelvey. Just comes inside. Goalkeeper Alisson's unsighted. And he puts the ball into the back of it. Here we see Fraser pulling it back, and Thiago's clearance is poor, unsighted.
He's at Oxlade-Chamberlain just
Yeah.
in front of him. He's unsighted by Oxlade-Chamberlain, and this is a great finish from Shelvey. Just keeps calm.
Yeah, he gets nowhere near it, does he? He's still going left by the time the ball goes over Oxlade-Chamberlain's shoulder. Look at this, he's still going left. I mean, he's absolutely nowhere near it. He just can't see it, basically. And fair play to Newcastle. As John Joe Shelvey was striking the ball there, they had 5 players in front of him.
Yeah.
So they, when they broke forward, they broke with numbers.
It was a lead that only lasted 14 minutes. Liverpool equalised, but this will be looked back as being quite controversial, won't it?
Yeah, and I think Newcastle have got a point, to be fair. I mean, normally, if there's a head injury, the referee stops the game immediately, and that's what obviously all the Newcastle players are saying. Mike Dean does see it. He sees it, he looks at it, he assesses it. Look, you can see him have another look there, and then he turns away, and now he turns back and has another look before he looks at the ball, and he's constantly looking at that situation and probably deciding, because it's his prerogative. There's no rule to say it has to be stopped. He's got to, it's his discretion, basically.
9 times out of 10, though.
Yeah, it's stopped.
Someone is holding their head on the ground. The referee immediately stops the play. He looks at it and he looks at it for a long time and decides that he's not going to stop the play. Whether he believes he hasn't been struck in the head, I don't know. Whether he feels he's seen clearly enough that the player hasn't been struck in the head and he's feigning injury, but he was on there for a long time with his hands on his head.
Well, that reaction from the Newcastle boss is pretty telling, and we can hear from him now on that incident. Here is Eddie Howe.
Eddie, that was a valiant attempt. You stayed in the game. And, I mean, defeat must hurt, but there's a lot to be pleased with as well.
Yeah, I was really pleased with the lads' effort and commitment to the game today. I think I'm really disappointed by the first goal. Liverpool's first goal. Need to see it again, but it was clear to me that I think it was Isaac went down holding his head immediately.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the game should have been stopped.
2 players down.
Yeah, 2 players down in the middle of our 6-yard box, and I think it's had a huge bearing on the game because we had the lead. That was obviously our game plan was going to be one. We're going to have long spells without the ball. We knew we were going to need to be really diligent in our defending, and scoring the goal almost suited the way that we had set up to play. But as soon as you concede and then the crowd are in the game and it feels unjust, I think it was doubly hard on our players.
Did that happen so quickly that there wasn't time to react, or was the referee unsure it was a head injury, just a collision?
I think he said to me that he felt Isaac had held his back. For me, Isaac immediately held his head. He was dazed for 4 or 5 minutes after the game. I think it's a dangerous moment where we have to think of the player's safety. But not only that, we're severely in a really difficult position with 2 players down in our box, and I don't think you want to see games decided when you have players out of the game.
It was a big call not to start with Callum Wilson, but the early goal, the game plan clearly was working then.
Yeah, it was a case of just trying to look after Callum and protect him. We know how important he is for us. We've got a very busy schedule of games, a lot of tight fixtures crammed in, and it was a case of obviously understanding his history and knowing him that we felt this was a wise game just for him to miss out. But Alan did really well on his own up front and caused them problems, as we thought he would do, with his dribbling ability and his pace. We had a really good chance, I think, to make it 2-0. I think, if I'm right, the scoreline was 1-0 to us at that moment. He went long spells without the ball, but did a diligent job, as did the team, and I was really pleased with the players today.
And you were still in the game in the second half until the Trent strike.
Yeah, and there's not a lot you can do about that. But Liverpool were going to have potential for long shots, but you've got one of the best strikers of a ball in world football, and he's hit it brilliantly. There's nothing we could do at that moment. Disappointing because second half I felt our shape was better. I thought we were a little bit more aggressive, got further up the pitch, but we just didn't have the quality needed to break Liverpool down.
Manchester City next on the schedule, but a couple of concerns. Jamal Lewis and Sir Maximin injured. Look like they're injured.
Yeah, I don't know what the situation is with Alain. I need to speak with him. I wasn't sure whether there was a knock or a tightness in the muscle. With Jamal, it looks like a hamstring strain, so that looks like he'll be out.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
The last thing he needs is more injuries, and Jamal Lewis, it looks like, has got a hamstring one himself. Interesting information he's given us there. Mike Dean told him that he felt Isaac Hayden was holding his back when he went down.
Yeah, which is, we immediately saw, and obviously we got the preview of watching it on the TV here, but it looked like it went straight to his head. There was 2 players on the floor. One gets up straight away, and the other one's just there for the whole time holding his head. So I'm not sure what part of his back he thought he was holding, but certainly hands in the wrong place.
Maybe he meant the back of his head.
Yeah, quite possibly. You've got sympathy with Eddie Howe there.
Yeah, as I say, we both thought that 9 times out of 10 that gets stopped.
Yeah.
So you would definitely have to feel sorry for Newcastle fans, for Newcastle players, and Eddie Howe in particular. Who knows what would have happened after that, but it was certainly a pivotal time in the game.
Yeah. Let's speak once again to Chris Foy, former Premier League referee in the match centre. Good to see you again, Chris. A little surprised maybe to hear that explanation from Mike Dean to Eddie Howe?
Yeah, I'm surmising and second guessing that when he went to ground, he was holding his back at first, and then Mike Dean's turned away, but quite clearly he was holding his head. I'm not sure where the referee was looking at that particular stage, and I just think, for me, the assistant referee can help him there. You know, referees aren't doctors, as I said earlier. He's holding his head, seriously injured, we're not sure, but the best thing to do in that situation would certainly blow the whistle and stop the game.
Yeah, you could probably just hear in the background Les is a bit confused by that explanation. Just explain to us, though, Chris, why did VAR not get involved in that incident?
VAR didn't get involved in that incident because there was no offence in the lead up to the goal. It's a clear goal. It's just 2 Newcastle players colliding with each other.
And usually, what would you have expected to have happened in that circumstance?
I think, like we all would, we expect the referee in that situation to blow the whistle, and if he's not clear and hasn't seen it, then one of his assistants should be certainly getting involved by telling him down the communications kit to stop the game, because player welfare, as I said before, is paramount in these situations.
OK. Stay with us, Chris, because when Newcastle were 2-1 down, they had a shout for a penalty, Les. You remember this Trent Alexander-Arnold on Ryan Fraser. What do you think?
I mean, when I first saw it, I thought great touch by Alexander. But I saw it again and I weren't 100% sure. But even there, I'm still not quite sure. So from a referee's perspective, you have to be 100% sure. It does look like he gets a touch there, but it was a...
Michael?
I'm watching it.
I know, in that position, I know I'm appealing for a penalty.
Oh, you're screaming for a penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, on one hand, I'm thinking it's a penalty, and then the next time I see it, oh no, Trent gets it. I'm sure Trent touches it.
Yeah.
But sometimes that doesn't necessarily matter if you go through the player as well. So, I mean, put it this way. Whichever way it went, I don't think you could sit here and argue and it's a definite one either way. It's very, very close. I'm pretty sure Trent definitely gets the ball. He definitely touches the ball. I think it's first. Do you know what I'm going to say? Not a penalty, and that's not because I'm biased. Okay. But it's close.
Chris?
I'm with both of the lads. I thought it was a great tackle at first. You look at it again. Is it a clear and obvious error from the referee? It certainly isn't. So I think we could debate it all night. It's just one of those that you would forensically examine, but VAR's not here for that. Is it a standout, clear error by the referee on the pitch? No, it's not, and VAR won't get involved in that.
Wow.
It was a great tackle at first.
Yeah, you know what? Looking at it again, I do think it's a
You're
great
getting
tackle.
more and more
because
convinced.
I think he touches the ball and then
takes
hits
the
the player.
player.
Yeah, and if it's the other way around, if he just touches the player first and then gets the ball, then I think we're seeing a lot of penalties for that. But I think it's a good decision in the end.
Says a Liverpool legend.
I've had to have a look at it about 10 times.
Hang on.
Settle on that.
Yeah. But can you see, without, I suppose, the black and white specs, Les, that it was a good tackle in the end?
Yeah, I mean, first time I saw it, because of the direction that the ball goes off in, and if you look at Fraser's foot, he's trying to knock it inside.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought...
It's almost like one of those where if it was given, maybe we'd be just debating it just as much as it wasn't. OK, let's hear from the Liverpool manager now, because it's a 6th straight win in the league as far as they're concerned. Here is Juergen Klopp.
Juergen, right result for tonight?
Yeah, I would say so. So, pretty much we used, actually, for the preparation of this game, we used more Bournemouth than Newcastle, to be honest, for the analyze, because I think last time when Eddie was here with Bournemouth, we won 2-1. There we won 1-0 down early in the game, had to chase the game, played a 4-5-1. So we expected similar things. And they made life hard for us, to be honest, but that's obviously the job to do. And with being 1-0 down, we changed a little bit the mood in the game there, get more confident. We rush it in moments. So it was now not that we had like 15, 16 clear-cut chances, but we scored really good goals. And so I'm really pleased in that period of the year and that moment of the year where you have to get through these games. I'm really pleased.
And it took a Trent rocket to calm it all down.
I told him after the game it was the best long ball he played today. So because it was absolutely what a stunner, unbelievable, what a great goal. Yeah, the boy has his shooting technique is absolutely different, a completely different level. But that's the main thing in games like this: staying positive, staying offensive-minded in moments like this. Just take the chance, take a chance, and that's what he did in that moment. And obviously, the outcome with a little. Thank God, Mike Dean is good on his leg, so he could get in a safe place. Yeah. So great goal.
The Jota goal. Newcastle are very unhappy. 2 players on the ground as the ball went in. What's your view on this?
I didn't see it back. I heard it now plenty of times because I was now just in a room where I saw Eddie's interview and saw that he is obviously not happy about that situation. I didn't see it back. The situations both got up later. I don't say it was in this situation like it, but really quite frequently players go down when they're in the box when they lose a challenge. So and I don't know if I didn't see it. If they knocked each head to each other, I don't know. The assistant on my side told me no. All good, the 2 players of them bouncing each other, so, but I didn't see it back.
We usually mention Mo Salah somewhere in this. He's actually equalled a record today, 15 goals and assists in a sequence. That matches Jamie Vardy, and that's not a bad record to have, particularly the assists.
Yeah. So that's quite amazing that he has incredible numbers scoring goals, but the assists are really as important. We all know, and so I think today it was right to take him off a little bit early. Usually it's the time for more. The last 10-15 minutes you could see in his face he was
never happy.
He was not overly pleased with that decision. But we play in 3 days again. Hopefully, and the situation in the world, nobody knows exactly what will be tomorrow and these kind of things. And we will go to AXA, to the training center, and until people tell us otherwise. So that's the situation. Today was a really strange day. I never had that on match day. 3 players all of a sudden. So we had the -1 session where they were involved. And then overnight they were not involved anymore. So that's obviously is not cool. But the most important thing is because the boys are vaccinated, that they will go through that probably. Yeah, they will not feel it really. That's good. But anyway, we have to wait now a little bit for them. And the problem is, I know there's a question there if we should stop the league and stuff like this. I have not a real answer for it. If that would be the answer, I would say yes. But the problem is if we stop it for 2 weeks and then we come back, yes, the training grounds are then probably clean, but we can do that overnight as well. But then the situation is still out there. So I really don't know exactly what to do. When I saw, for example, that the Everton lineup today, I was like, okay, I don't know. Half of the players that play there, and playing then the game anyway is tough. And we coming up now. Let me say, we have now 3 players out for COVID reasons. Probably they will get tested tomorrow again. If it was false positive, they are back in. But if not, then they're still out. If we have again another 3-4 players out in the next few days, we play Shrewsbury in the midweek. What I heard is in League 1 and League 2, players are not really vaccinated, so nobody looks at that. So that's a tricky one. Then a few days later, we play 26 and 28, and if you have 13 players available, they have to play 26. That's absolutely not possible. It's anyway really difficult, but then it's not possible. So there are obviously plenty of questions we need to find answers for, but I don't have the solution in the moment.
Thank you, Juergen.
Welcome.
He reflected on Liverpool's man of the moment, Mo Salah. We'll talk about his record in a second.